Hey y'all, it's Amber with Aspiring Inspiration. I was just going to read some scripture and do a little devotion thing with y'all while you watch my cats. Not every purpose is known to us. Your word is a lamp for my feet and a light on my path. Psalms 119:105. Everything God created has a purpose and is designed according to that purpose. However, not every purpose is known to us. Humanity has lost its knowledge of God's purposes. It has not respected the fact that God's creation and His directions for living were established for a specific reason, and that if this purpose is abandoned, we will never function properly as human beings. The result of this abandonment has been debilitating for us. We have grown further and further away from God's original intent and design, so that we function less and less as we were meant to. This has left us incomplete, frustrated, and in conflict with one another. The first chapter of Romans explains that when people reject or are ignorant of the purposes of God, they end up continually abusing themselves. They abuse their bodies, their minds, their relationships, and their talents. Although they know God, they neither glorified Him as God nor gave thanks to Him, but their thinking became futile, and their foolish hearts were darkened. Romans 1:21. This verse describes those who did not know the purpose of God and did not even care to find out what it is. Even though they knew something about God and His ways, they did not want Him in their lives. They did not want to know what He wanted them to know. They were saying, in effect, keep your opinions about who we are to yourself, God. We know you made us, but mind your own business. We know you're there, but leave us alone. The next verses tell us the result of their decision. Although they exclaimed to be wise, they became fools. Romans 1:22. They exchanged the truth about God for a lie and exchanged natural sexual relations for unnatural ones. Verse 25 and 26. When does the exchange of natural for unnatural take place? It takes place when purpose is either ignored or unknown. Furthermore, just as they did not think it worthwhile to retain the knowledge of God, so God gave them over to a depraved mind so that they do what ought not be done. Verse 28. They didn't think it worthwhile to find out God's purpose for the world or to retain the knowledge of God as to why He made humanity. They didn't check to find out why God made women and men. They didn't try to find out what God knows about the things He has made. They didn't want to know, so they relied on their own inclinations. The above statements from Romans are a description of humanity as a whole. We have rejected knowing God and His purposes, and so God's original intent for us has not been communicated in many of our cultures and traditions. It has been lost or obscured. Instead, distorted views have been passed down, so that people do not know how to relate to one another as they were meant to. This is the situation people often find themselves in, and why it is essential for us to recover our original purpose in God. We have grown further and further away from God's original intent and design, so that we function less and less as we were meant to. That's why things end up being a struggle for us. Because where purpose is unknown, abuse will be inevitable. There is a way that appears to be right, but in the end it leads to death. Proverbs 14, verse 12. You cannot move away from God and be truly successful. You cannot cut off your relationship with the manufacturer and expect to find genuine parts somewhere else. When you ignore the warranty, any part you try to find on your own will not be genuine. You cannot develop into a better product without the help of the manufacturer. If we think we can find out how to be a better person without God, we are in trouble, for the consequences are serious. When we believe that we don't need God, we get worse and worse. How many people have been suffering from these very consequences? Many are the plans in a person's heart, but it's the Lord's purpose that prevails. Proverbs 19:21. We have many plans, but God has a purpose. Our plans may not be in harmony with God's purpose. I think it is appropriate to include the concept of opinions or perceptions